currently viewing my source analysis number 1 of vase paintings. I am Mary Foster and this is my presentation. So the subject entries for the source analysis number 1 vase I chose to do is number 9038225. It is Athenian. It is from Madrid and currently housed as of the Beasley Archives publication in the Museo Arqueológico Nacional under the number 1095-8. The vase I chose and what it depicts. So the vase I chose, as you can read from the slide, is pictured to the left of the text box, and it depicts Hercules and his interaction with the three-headed guard dog of the underworld, Cerberus. According to the Beasley Archives page for this vase, Hermes and Ivy are also depicted on the vase, but they are not seen in the singular photo posted to the archives website. The center image within the photograph of the vase is, as stated before, Cerberus, with Hercules in the background directly behind him, and the goddess Athena seated to their left. Although there were no other photos of the vase on the Beasley Archives website, I went on the website of the Museo Arqueológico Nacional de Madrid, where the vase is on display, but I had little luck finding the specific vase on the site's inventory search feature. So in terms of technicalities of the vase shape is Lekythos, and the vase date is 58 to 59, with the vase technique being black figure, which is popular not only for that time, but in the Greco-Roman time period, with little distinction aside from carved vase being made in vases that were pictured, aside from red clay versus a lighter clay being the only big distinction of black figured vases. The images below from Google, being the leftmost, and the center and two sides depict a typical Lekythos style vase with the same technique. And according to this Google image area and its citation of Wikipedia, a Lekythos is a type of ancient Greek vessel used for storing oil, especially olive oil, which would make sense especially in the Athenian area, given what we know has some root in reality of the myth of Athena and Poseidon fighting over Athens. But the Lekythos vase has a narrow body and one handle attached to the neck of the vessel and is kind of a narrow type of jug with no pouring lip. The oinako is more like a modern jug. So you can see from the center and rightmost photos of Lekythos vases from the Beasley Archives, they occur both with and without handles, but the things that don't tend to change as much are the shapes, with the second smallest being the Deianira vase, the shoulder being the second largest, the cylinder being the tallest and slimmest, and the smallest and perhaps roundest being the squat vase, which I can see being potentially a centerpiece of a dining area for Greek life, or for altars and prayers, perhaps. So if you give a closer analysis of the vase's figures and paintings, the central figure of the vase is the canine figure Cerberus, at least for the image we're working with, who was the guard dog of the underworld. He is pictured on the vase as seemingly only having 2 heads. However, in 3, he's usually depicted as having, in myths, my apologies, he's usually depicted as having 3. Or as up to 50, but most popularly 3. He's pictured as being the same size as the figure of Hercules behind him, who's clothed in traditional Greek armor, but Hercules appears to be in a relaxed, non-fighting stance, which is quite different on this vase as opposed to others, which will be seen in my second analysis. Hercules is seen facing towards the seated goddess of Athena, seen sitting in perhaps formal robes, who's at the leftmost portion of the vase's photo. Cerberus, however, he has one head looking at Hercules and the goddess Athena, and the other one looking away, presumably at Hermes and Ivy, but again, this was the only photo listed on the Beasley Archive. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.